Captain's Log Supplemental.
Hey Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do. I
You,
got one
you
that I'm looking at every day.
you know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube and then I send it to my coach and say, look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better. And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes and Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of our hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. What's this housing?
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Jeremy.
Yep.
He is. There's no doubt about it. Lovingly known this time of the year as Santa Jeremy.
Yes,
Yep.
I embrace that very much. Very much.
That's fine. Well, it's nice that every year your beard embraces it just a little more.
That's stress from having kids.
I know nothing about it. Nothing about it at all. Anyway, welcome. We have a tradition around here that Jeremy partook in? Turducken? I don't know.
Partook.
Partook? Okay, partook. We're going with partook.
I believe.
As opposed to fully cooked. No, different word. Anyway, for Friendsgiving, we seem to have adopted a racing theme, and we usually have a project or 2 or 7 or 20, and a bunch of friends come over. So not wanting to break our streak, we did it again. We
did, and it was epic.
It was epic. It was. We had several epics. So, Jeremy, let's talk about pre-project preparation, whatever.
Okay. Well, first we got to talk about the project. How can we talk about prep without even knowing what the project was?
That's true.
Yep.
We had one project that we've known about for many, many months. And then we had a little project that came up a few weeks ago.
Yes. And both projects were a success.
They were.
In different ways.
Yeah. There was shrapnel in both of them. I mean, yes, it was great.
Yes, it was fantastic.
It was fantastic. What was your project?
So the project, we are building another new endurance car. And we decided that Friendsgiving was a perfect time to get with the Abbotts and learn how to build a roll cage.
Yep. The CNC Music Factory were here, Chris and Chrissy.
Yep.
Uh, we had another guest come Thursday for Thanksgiving, which was nice, and dropped off our other project, Miss Viggy.
Mm-hmm.
Who might that have been?
Oh, yes. We had Scott McMichael came.
That's right.
Yes, we had Scott McMichael for Thanksgiving dinner, which was wonderful.
And ever so lovingly, he towed one of our other projects up, which was another
Yep.
soon to be
We're,
endurance
we're
car.
purging cars, which is great. We're simplifying and thinning down.
Yep. Which is why we brought a new car back to the
Mm-hmm.
because
Yep.
there's no way to thin without adding. So that's just the way it goes. So we wanted to get that done, and then Jeremy had Thanksgiving Day with his family, and then booted them to the curb Friday morning bright and early.
Yep.
And then was puzzled the entire way why there was traffic coming from New Hampshire to Pennsylvania.
What should have been a 5.5 hour drive was a little over 7.
That's right.
So
He took
yeah,
me
that was fun.
Gilligan's
Yes,
Island
post
path.
Thanksgiving, Black
Correct.
Friday.
Yes.
And the two bad spots were Hartford area, which it always is because
Mhm.
Connecticut traffic in Hartford sucks,
Mhm.
and 495 in Massachusetts because traffic always sucks in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So we wanted to get it in. We had a little bit to do in preparation for the arrival of the CNC cage factory.
Correct. So in preparation, obviously, when you're building a roll cage, you need to gut the interior out of your car.
Mhm.
And by interior, we mean all of the plastic bits, all of the carpet, all of the seats, all of the things that are not going to stay as a race car. And even the things that you are going to put back in, a lot of them that they need to come out if they're going to be in the way of the roll cage.
Mm-hmm.
Like your power cord.
Yes, like the power cable in the car. Luckily, we were able to just move the wiring harnesses
Mm-hmm.
out of the way to weld, and then just put them back. But preparation is key to a roll cage, and we learned this weekend that even when you think you have prepped, and then the next person goes in and they think they have prepped, and then the next person goes in and they think they have prepped, you haven't prepped fully.
Mm.
So we only had one thing left to do when I brought the car down. Nick and I gutted the car. We really only had one thing to do. And
who's this person you talked to?
oh, what's that?
Who is this person you talked to? Who you gutted it with? Who?
Oh, Nick. Nick, yeah.
Who's that?
Someday he'll come on. He's my partner in crime.
Oh, okay. I don't believe he exists.
He is. He is co-owner of two of the vehicles that we have, and part of our Monkey House racing team with Jonah. But yeah, so we gutted the car and we brought the car down. Bill was so gracious enough to find dry ice because we needed to remove the sound deadening and the seam sealer in the
Mm-hmm.
areas in which the car was going to
Yep.
be welded, or the cage was going to be welded to the car. So in preparation, the prior weekend, Chris had messaged me and wanted to make sure that we were going to have the car ready. And I said, yes, it's all gutted. We had plans. Vicky, Bill, and I were going to finish getting rid of the sound deadening and seam sealer and so on and so forth.
And heat up the car because welding and crawling around in a cold, empty car is sucky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I
got down there.
I got the dry ice.
Yeah. Bill got the dry ice. Hey, you actually got the dry ice twice.
Twice.
Two
And
times.
it worked well?
Because the first time went so well, I thought I'd do it again. That's not why.
Apparently, it does melt much faster when it's in pellet form than it does when it's in cube form.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the pellets, they went away with the wind, and Jeremy's like, you should have close the cooler. And I'm like, it wouldn't have mattered if I did, because when it turns to CO2 gas, it's going to open any cooler, or it's going to really open a cooler. And yeah, it was all gone. I checked it just in case to make sure we still had enough. And when I looked in, I think we had like 4 grams. So I figured that wasn't enough. So then I found a place that was like 3 hours away. And then while I was driving there, I found another place that wasn't 3 hours away, and that made me much happier.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But still not happy.
Yeah, so it was good. We got there Friday. I got there Friday, and we unloaded the car. As I was putting the trailer away, Bill and Vicky unloaded all of the items that were inside the car, which are all the parts that are going into the car eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Unloaded all that stuff and got it ready to remove all the sound deadening
Mm-hmm.
and the seam sealer.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you like our method versus your method?
Well, the first car we did, we heated the seam sealer or the sound deadening up with a heat gun and just scraped it all out, which was clean, shall we say,
Mm-hmm.
but took forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
And it's no fun.
And it's not fun. And it's stinky. It really smells.
Does it?
Um,
Is that the acetone stuff?
Yeah, it's
No,
terrible.
he's talking about the heat.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
the heat. Yeah. But Bill introduced me to the way of using dry ice, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It works a whole lot faster.
Jeremy's like, we got to get this done by tomorrow morning. I'm like, it should be done in less than an hour.
And you thought you'd have to be there longer, Jeremy?
I did, and
He thought it was
chemicals
going
are
overnight.
awesome.
Physics and thermodynamics are a wonderful thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about when I said when you think you've done it, and then the next person goes in and thinks they've done it, and the next person goes in and thinks they've. When you were told to remove all of the seam sealer, that means everything. The metal on the car needs to be shiny with nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, Chris. So we cleaned it and Vicky cleaned it and Bill cleaned it and Chrissy cleaned it and I cleaned it and it's still, we thought we had it all. And then as soon as Chris would start to weld or get close to that area, there was still some left that we missed. So,
well, part of it was Friday when you got there, the hangar had been cold because there was no sense in heating it up for us to just open the entire wall.
correct.
So the lights aren't as bright. So when we were doing it Friday evening, we were using the available light that we had, but we did not have the sun that you had brought with you. And we did not see some of it. So on Saturday when Chris arrived, we were a little embarrassed that we didn't finish what we said we did, but
Yep.
Whoopsies.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
but Chrissy and I start tackling the stuff that
Yeah.
was really in the corner, so it managed to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And flattening the floor. You and
Mhm.
Chrissy were on top of that. And yeah, so the big thing is making sure you have all of that stuff clean to start. That takes a long time to get all that stuff cleaned out of there.
It does. And then we had to drag over some stuff back and forth between the hangars. We had to bring the tubing and the tubing bender back from hangar 2 and bring.
Oh, you and Jeremy did that?
Yeah.
We did on Friday.
Okay, yeah.
Except for one bar, but we'll get to that later. So part of Friendsgiving that we take very seriously is making sure that the food is commensurate with the activities going on. So Friday's festivities, and no turkey allowed, by the way, no turkey allowed on Friendsgiving. So Friday, what did we partake in, Mr. Jeremy?
Yeah. So those of you that haven't been around when Bill decides to provide food, you need to and bring 3 extra friends because he's going to cook enough for you and 3 of your friends just for you.
It's worth doing. It's worth overdoing.
Yes. So it's amazing. He cooked some unbelievable steaks. And it just way too much food, but you had to eat it because it was so good.
Just how we roll. Got to make sure that the stomach's full because the army runs on its stomach, right? Isn't that what Napoleon said?
Yeah, something like that.
Something. Yeah, he was short. I don't remember. Anyway, so Saturday morning, we wake up and start rolling around. Vicky got out there earlier than I because I think that was day 4 of preparation hardcore in the hangar for me. So I was
Mhm.
like a little pooped out
Hmm.
and also had to do some extra traveling with Mia because Miss Mia got into a little bit of a fender bender on Thanksgiving Day. So I had to do some parental car shuffling and kid shuffling. So that was kind of fun. But what did you guys do before I got there? I'm unfamiliar.
We finished, um, we were working with the grinders, trying to get the rest of the stuff out,
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
believe. And I think, yeah, I think you were just sanding floor.
Yeah, we were sanding all the spots. Bill had some awesome grinding pads to help with the seam sealer, and Vicky and I went to town on that. Vicky climbed in the trunk, cleaned up all the trunk area where the down tubes,
Hmm.
the backstay tubes were going to be mounted. Yeah, we just worked on cleaning everything up and trying to make sure that we were fully prepared. Vicky was running around the hangar setting up where the bender was going to be and where, getting the drill press ready so we could do all the notching. And yeah, it was a busy morning.
So
Yeah, it was.
Vicky took care of the junk in the trunk.
Yep.
I
Yep.
did, absolutely. I
Okay,
did.
very well. Nicely done.
Yep.
All right. And then Chris and Chrissy had a little bit of a slow start and maybe some traffic on the way. So we started a little bit later. But when we got news that they were starting or arriving later, Jeremy and I made the executive decision of, well, then we're going
We're
to get started.
starting.
We're starting now.
Yep.
So Scott was
Yep.
there. Forgot to add that Scott came on Saturday as well.
Yes,
And
Scott came up. He had so much fun on Thursday. He decided he was going to come back on Saturday.
a double dose.
Yep.
Yep.
So we started with the main hoop, main bar, main loop, whatever you want to call it. I've heard people call it all different things. Jeremy, you had never partaken in cage fabrication or cage bending and all kinds of fun stuff. So since it was new to you, you'll probably skip less than if I say what we did. So what do you do when you're bending a cage?
Yeah. So it's a lot. I learned very quickly why most cage builders want your car for a week minimum. There is a lot of mathing that goes on. There is a lot of,
Three-dimensional mathing.
yes, three-dimensional mathing. There is a lot of preparation just to be able to make one bend. Um, so basically, when we started out, we needed to get a rough total length from floor up B pillar across the roof, down B pillar to the floor, and then you have to add some length in your bar so that you don't end up too short. And you get that rough measurement,
Short
but
is bad.
short is really bad.
Mhm.
Long is good,
Mhm.
short is bad.
Mhm.
So the cool thing that we figured out is, well, I learned, Bill knew from doing it other cages before, was that you need to take a piece of tubing and you need to test bend the tubing so that you know where to line up when you insert your tube into the bender, where your bend is going to start and where you need to mark for the tube to lay for your bend to start in that particular position.
Yep. There's an
Um,
offset from where something you can measure on a tube to where the actual bend begins in the
yes,
bender. Yeah.
yeah. So
Hmm.
it's a lot. It is a lot. Um, so I learned very quickly that it's a very, very slow process, very methodical, and you have steps to go through that you must do. And if you skip a step or miss something or you're rushing, it's very easy to get it wrong and have to restart.
Hmm. And tube, unfortunately, is not free. Well, especially not free anymore. So it used to be better, but I'm sure it's ridiculous now. But anyway, so how is the main bar? That was your
So the
first
main bar is great.
first
We
conquer.
what's that?
That was your first one you conquered.
That was the first
Mhm.
one, and first time bending, first time doing all of it. Which it's you have you know your two bends at the top, and then in this particular chassis, halfway down the B pillar is another bend because the car, comes out and then comes back down in, and so we ended up with five bends in our main hoop, one very small one, so that it was up really super tight. We actually had to cut the into the roof corners to get the piping in because it was that tight up through.
Like the sill of the roof, I guess would be one way to
Yes.
talk about it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So once you get the main hoop bent and test fit to where it's going to be and work, then you can drill what we did it where we drilled holes in the floor to be able to drop the cage down through. So once you know where those holes are going to be, somebody can drill those while you're starting to do your crossbar that goes from the bottom corner. And you want the bar coming behind what I learned. You want the bar coming behind the driver's head. So you don't want to start at the floor on the driver's side and go to the roof on the passenger side if you're only doing one bar. If you're doing an X brace, it doesn't matter. But we did one bar.
I'm not sure we were clear on why you need the holes, Jeremy.
Mhm.
Yeah, to drop the cage down through so you can weld.
Well, the top, yeah, because
Yeah,
you need to
you-
weld. All your welds have to be 360 and good,
Correct.
Mhm.
good, not in quotes, like good. 'Cause
Correct.
Your life literally depends on it. So
Yeah. Yeah, they have to be very good and very strong. They may not look the most beautiful, especially when I'm welding it, because I'm not a welder, but I'm getting much better.
Mhm.
So once you get your bar that goes, across and behind the driver's head, then you have to reinstall your seat and figure out where your harness bar has to go. So that's a fun process as well.
no details shall be left unspoken.
So you have again three-dimensional mathing. So you have the bar goes all the way across from B pillar to B pillar with a tube that runs directly through the center of it. So you have to get your lengths, you have to get your measurements, you have to get your notching correct. It's again, it's a very tedious process. It's not super simple. It's very tedious and very slow.
Mhm.
And I think there's two things. Jeremy had never done this before, and Jeremy comes in with tons of enthusiasm, tons of energy, and tons of thought. But then when you actually get there, you realize some of the things you thought were going to be the things that were going to slow you down are far from the things that you actually get slowed down by. Because Jeremy was all worried about sanding and having two welders, and I'm sitting there going, "That's not the part that's going to take the time."
That's not the
No.
part.
Nope, that's not the part. The
No.
bending, and the measuring, and the bending,
Yes,
and the
yes.
measuring, and the bending.
And that's if you get the bending right. If you get the bending wrong,
Yep,
so
you get to
and then
start all over again.
the second thing is you must realize should you ever choose to accept this task, you will feel like after day one you got nothing done.
That is correct. That is 100% correct. And the notching takes time too. There's a real process to notching as well.
Yep.
Mhm.
Bird mouthing, fish mouthing. I never know which one to call it.
Yeah.
Again, that's a three-dimensional thing, and until you do it, you don't realize. Like I think Jeremy was surprised that he had to cut as much off the bar as he did in order to fish mouth it, and bird mouth it, because
Yeah.
it's just like, well, why don't I just cut it with a hole? And I'm like, well, you
Yeah.
could, but you can't.
But you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And then your angles. And
And
then
then
when
your
you have
angles.
angles and you have to there's so much mathing involved.
Mhm. And then you get the one side of the cut has like a nice point to it, and the other side has this big long piece that doesn't look anything like what it should. And I think Jeremy took a few of them away. And then the second day, I was like, no, leave them there. And then he put them up, and he's like, oh,
Yeah. Whoa, that works.
that fits a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
can you imagine back in the day before the notchers were available? They used to do that with a grinder.
With a grinder. Yeah.
hand do it and just bite
That's
off.
why it would take them a month to build a roll cage.
Perhaps, yes, but yes.
But
But
yeah,
you know
it's
what?
go ahead, Vicky.
You guys did mention the bending part, and there is an angle piece, an angle tool that helps. We unfortunately could not find ours, but
Oh, the
it is
cage
a
gauge.
what is it?
It's called the cage gauge.
A cage gauge, yes, and it is an angle that would have helped you, better measure and move your angles along a lot quicker. Unfortunately, we couldn't find ours.
It's there
Um,
Yeah.
somewhere.
it got separated during a clean out, and that probably would have sped everything up by probably about I don't know, 2 hours
Yeah, a
maybe.
couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's still more
because
to do.
there wouldn't have to be so much mathing and guesstimates at that point. It would just be done.
The nice thing is when you have like a 90 degree, it doesn't really matter. But when you're having like the taper angles that we had to do for the down bars and for the two on the main hoop, when they're not just bended to 90 degrees, you can actually put the cage gauge in there and it'll tell you what the angle is. And then you bend it just a little shy of that because
Mhm.
unbending is no fun whatsoever. Uh, but you just kind of and then you're really close as opposed to a lot of test fits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot. So that's the funny thing. Bill said a little while ago is at the end of day one, you kind of sit back and you're like, wow, we got nothing done.
I'm really tired, and we wasted all of the day, and there's
Yeah,
nothing in the car.
we spent the whole day and there's nothing.
It's still
So
empty.
the big thing
It is
is
discouraging though, isn't it?
it is, and
I had that
and
same feeling.
it was crazy,
We're
and you're
behind
like, well,
we're
all we
behind schedule. Holy crap.
You know what
yeah,
the solution is? The solution is to just leave at 6 o'clock and
yeah,
go get bribed some more.
yep, yep. So, and that's what happened. So we got, with Chris and Chrissy there,
And
Chris
Scott.
was and Scott. Scott was learning. Scott was learning with me how to build a cage.
Hmm.
That
Mhm.
was the other cool
Yeah.
part. Scott and I are both. We'd never done it before, so we were both learning. It was really cool, and so at the end of the day, we had Bill said, "All right, I'm leaving because I'm going to get dinner prepped and ready for you guys. So see you later. Have fun." And so we're getting ready to leave the hangar, and we've got the main hoop done. The main hoop is completely done, and it is laying on the floor after it was up on the table to finish the welding, laying on the floor, and you're looking at it going, wow, that's what we got done today. That is amazing. But it doesn't look like we did anything because there's nothing in the car, and that's all we got done.
And that's only
Hmm.
one of the bars we need.
Yes. So it was like you're leaving going, oh, this is not going to be good. Maybe we aren't going to get the whole cage done. But with that said, we only had 2 days, and we knew that we were not going to get the cage done, and I figured that I would be bringing the car home, and we would have to do a ton to the car. Nick and I would have to do a ton to finish the cage.
Who?
Um, but
Who's going to do this with you?
Nick's going to help me finish it.
Who?
He's that guy that he's like
I don't remember him.
he's like 5'4".
No.
Do you remember last year at New
Mm-mm.
Jersey or this year at New Jersey? Do
Nope.
you remember that kid that I had to save his life because he was choking on bacon on breakfast?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that kid?
Doesn't remind me
Yeah, that
really,
was
but
Nick.
Oh, okay. All right.
Wasn't
Well,
it Nick?
yeah, it was Nick. Yeah, it was Nick.
That kid.
anybody
That
who's
was
going to
Nick.
die eating bacon is doing life good, though. You got to admit.
Yeah, you had to
That's
do a
true.
little
That's true.
Heimlich on him.
I would 100% put that on his headstone.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
So yeah, so we're finished for the day. Everybody's done. We're getting ready to leave, and Bill says, "Hey, dinner's going to be a little bit behind schedule, so be ready. Be here for 6:30." We get to the house, and Bill and Jennifer had been slaving away all afternoon, making this amazing food for us. And that's where Bill's bribing comes in. Bill, I'm going to let you talk about that
No.
awesome
Oh.
food.
Ugh.
What? It's
No, go ahead.
so part of the fun of racing is making sure the paddock game is quite strong. So we practice it fairly often, routinely. But sometimes you have to take account. Like sometimes we'll have vegetarian people, so we'll have to cook some veggie meals, which means I don't do anything. And then sometimes we'll take care of other people who have like allergies to, paprika or gluten, whatever. So
Bill eats vegetarian by
a second level vegetarian.
by second level vegetarian.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is.
my food is eats vegetables, so I get them through there. It's fine. Um, so we had a couple of those. So in order to make sure everybody was happy, I had to make two different rib roasts, and I think they came out okay, but they ended up staying. Uh, you know how when you take a roast out, you leave it sit to kind of settle and get all the juices quite right. Some of the things we were cooking to go with them, which are of no consequence to me, but they weren't ready, so we had to wait for everything to get ready. So the roast kind of got a little more done than I was aiming for, but it
No, it was awesome. It was
turned out
fantastic.
turned out okay. I do like a mustard based coating on the roast, and it comes out pretty well. So
Yeah, it comes out amazing.
so,
So that was cool. We had an amazing dinner. Scott ended up leaving shortly after dinner.
yeah, he had to go take care of his
Um,
puppy.
Yep, he had to go home, take care of his puppy and the kids. And then we decided that we were going to sit down and watch the F1 sprint race. And then after we watched the F1 sprint race, we watched qualifying for the F1 race for the following day.
Mhm.
So it was a good, long, busy day,
Well,
especially considering that Vicky and I left Saturday morning. We left the house at what, 6:45, Vicky?
Yeah, it was about 6:45, almost
Yeah.
7.
So it
I was
was
a
it was a
little later.
long day. We were gone for 12 hours away from the house, just
It was a
just being
big
gone.
day. And you were still ready.
I was still ready.
You're
I
like,
was going to go back to
I'm
the
going
hangar and keep
back. I'm
working.
going, I know. Go
we
back in the morning.
we need to be wide awake in the morning because tomorrow's the big day. Because Jeremy again, he's got his puppy full of energy and like I can do this, and I'm like yes, but all of us can do it tomorrow. It'll be fine.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So who knew?
So
Jeremy listened for once.
I did. I did. Uh, what else did we do on Saturday? I think that was it. Oh, wasn't that the day we made s'mores in the fireplace?
That was the day of first s'mores. Yes,
Yes.
and uh you had your s'more thought changed. I believe is the best way to put it. Because you were thinking s'mores, and then somebody came up with a better s'more that I don't think we ever did, but you were quite intrigued.
Yeah, we didn't do it. We did not do it.
We had to survive the next day. But would you like to describe the proposed s'more?
I feel like if we did that, we would have not made it to Sunday. So I don't know who was talking about. I think it might have been Chrissy,
I think
but
it was.
it was you take a marshmallow and you cook it very brown so the shell is hard. You pull the guts out and then you pour Bailey's in it and then you drink it / eat it that way.
Hmm. So yeah, that would have been but Sunday would have been messy. I know we would have gone through more tubing on Sunday if we would have done those.
We would have been in a lot of trouble.
We need more tube.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
So anyway, rinse and repeat. Saturday and Sunday comes back, and you guys started up again pretty early. I think everybody got there like
Yeah.
7:30.
Vicky and I were over there at what, 7?
Yeah.
7:15, something like that.
I think I got there at 8. You were up there before me.
Oh yeah, you came after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got there earlier. I turned the heat up. So it was warm in there. Vicky got there. We got right into cleaning and starting things up. Right after that, Chris and Chrissy got there. Bill got there.
Had to go
And
take
we
care of
went
mom
we went
again.
right to town.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
did.
So once you do, a cage is complicated and very detailed, but once you do every step a few times, you kind of get a flow.
Yes, it was fantastic.
And once again, Jeremy Energy was get out of my way. I'm doing this. And it was quite fun.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that frustrated you was one of our saw blades glazed.
Yes, that was really frustrating.
Yes. That's what happened.
Yeah, it was
I
glazing.
stopped
So
cutting.
yeah, so I swapped them out and
Hmm.
then
Oh yeah, it did pick up after that.
and then it picked up and worked really well for a little while, and then it glazed over again. So I took both blades and I just took a file and I unglazed them in the vise and put them back in the saws, and they worked really good again. I
You
think
want to
that
you want
the
to get
trick
frustrated?
was, what's that?
You want to get frustrated?
Why?
After we put the car away and everything, and we were closing up the door, the window, what do you call it, the wall. I
Yeah.
saw the deglazing tool that I have. It's in the tray for the grinder.
Oh gosh. Is that
Oh,
what
that's
that
too
is?
funny.
I did not know that was what that was.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Anyway, not the first error we made, but that's fine.
Well, I'm actually really, really happy with I have a better understanding for cages now, and I have
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
um, Chris has done many cages. I think 14 cages maybe,
I think
and
he's south of 20, but it's not by much.
his cages have been tested, and unfortunately they've been tested, and the outcome has always been positive. So I feel super confident that we have a super safe cage. Chris and Chrissy and Bill and Vicky taught me a lot about building a cage. They've been, Bill and Vicky have taken in cages before. Um, there is just so much to do, and it's just super tedious and super slow. Um, Going to the A pillars, I'm going to say, thankfully, we only messed up once, but we were able to reuse that mess up bar into a door bar. So Chris and I were mathing. Chris was really mathing, using the whiteboard, and we were doing the down bars from the main hoop across the roof, down the A pillars, down to the floor.
They're the
And those
hardest.
are
They're the hardest
those are the
ones.
hardest ones to bend. They're compounding angles, like opposite angles. It's just crazy, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and we got one done, and we were like, oh, this looks perfect. It looks perfect. We started trimming it, and nope, it was just a little bit off from where we really needed it to be.
Wow.
And it was
So
off to the short side, which is
to the short side, which is the side you don't want it to be on.
yep.
So luckily, we were able to actually reuse that, because we were able to use it as a door bar,
Hmm.
which worked out perfect. So there was really no waste.
We,
We
we wasted one door bar on the other side later.
No, but yeah, but we reused it somewhere else.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah, we reused it somewhere else. So we now know that caging a BMW takes a lot more cage tubing than caging a Honda
Yeah, it's like
Really?
almost
or
almost a
some.
Yeah.
hundred.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
the car is just that much bigger. So
It's almost 100
Bill and
feet.
I, what those were 20-foot bars.
Yeah.
So Bill and I brought over four of them on Friday.
Hmm.
Bill was thinking we may use three, and we ended up needing to go get a fifth one.
Hmm.
But we didn't use much off of it. We used, Vicky, what was that bar that you cut on Monday morning before I left? How was that, 4-foot bar?
Yeah, I think so.
4 foot or 56 inches or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
But
it was
that's
that was
that's all
about
we had to use
16.
off of that last bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Altogether, it's good. The car is bigger, so
Yeah. Yep.
it is what
It's a
it is.
bigger car.
The only bummer was we had to go get the bar, which meant the bar was cold,
Yes.
and your truck was separated from your trailer. So Vicky and I went over and we carried the whole thing back in the cold.
Wait,
So
you guys carried that over?
yeah,
Hmm.
it was
Oh,
chilly.
I didn't realize. I thought you were going to use the truck.
No, because it would fall out of the truck because there's only like 6 or 7 feet in the truck, and 20 feet it's going to go. Plunk.
Yep.
So yeah, we
Well,
we carried it back. It got a little heavier. Well, not heavy, but your hand got tired of gripping it,
yes.
and
Yep.
it was cold, so that kind of sucked. So we both grabbed gloves because even though it was cold outside, it was worse because the bar was cold, and
Mm-hmm.
metal conducts really well. So
It does.
we had
I had
claws
gloves.
when we came back in. It was fine though.
Yeah. I
Plus,
mean,
it was
it was.
dark, so and you know how dark that place is when the sun goes
Oh my
down,
gosh, it gets pitched.
it,
Yes.
it gets dark. So anyway, if you want to watch stars, great place though.
No, it was overall it was pretty amazing. I we definitely got a lot more done I thought we were going to get done at leaving the hangar on Saturday. I was like, there's no way we're going to get any of this done, and I'm going to be trying to figure this out by myself. But it was, we got a lot done. I think I have to weld in. We got everything done with the main part of the cage. We got the windshield bar in. We got the down tubes in. We got the driver's door bars all done. We got the passenger upper door bar done. Lower door bar is cut and notched, so I need to weld that in along with the bars that go from upper to lower door bar for the passenger side. So there's three bars there that I have to weld, and then just the one down bar on the driver's side that needs to be installed and welded.
A back bar.
And that's it. Oh, the backstay. Sorry, the backstay.
Yeah, I was gonna say down bar was in.
Yeah, down bar was in. Backstay. And that's it. And the cage is done. So we really got almost the entire cage done after getting a slower start than we wanted, and not having everything fully prepared. Again, Chris, I'm sorry. Not having everything fully prepared 100%. It was very impressive at how quickly that cage started taking shape and coming together once that main hoop is in.
Chris is used to being disappointed with the level of preparation when he comes to our hangar, right?
I did not know that. No.
Well, I mean, he should be by now. If he's not, then he's doing something wrong. It's fine.
I feel bad because I told him that it would be done, and I thought it was done, but it really has to be perfectly clean.
Otherwise, it smells really bad and catches fire. But besides that, no big deal. So, are you happy about your cage?
I'm very happy with that cage. Can't wait for Nick to see it. And it was great. That kid.
Wow. I don't know.
So because it's such a long drive, I went back to the Casa de Fisher and spent the night there on Sunday as well. And Vicky and I went over to the hangar on Monday morning, cleaned up and packed up the car and put the car on the trailer and started heading home.
Anything else you put on a trailer, Jeremy?
Yeah, there is. So there is one negative thing to this whole amazing weekend of building a awesome cage and learning how to do it and spending time with friends and
it's only negative to you, Jeremy. It's very positive to us. We're quite happy about it.
It's funny, right?
Oh yeah, well, pretty much. Yeah.
No, it's not.
It is.
So I have a really bad habit of when I'm putting a car on my trailer. I get out of the car, lock the car, all that kind of stuff. And whatever is in my hands, I have a really bad habit of setting it on the trailer up in the upper corner, where I'm going to be strapping the driver's side front wheel down. So I set everything there. Typically, my phone's usually there with the keys and whatever else. And Vicky and I strap the car down, put the ramps in the trailer, blah, 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 said our goodbyes, and I drive away.
Sounds like no problem. Everything's fine.
No problem. Everything's great. So I'm about an hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours away. And I look around in my truck and I realize the keys to the race car are not in my center console where they normally are. So I start panicking. I'm digging through the truck. I think I was on the phone with Bill maybe at that point when I realized I didn't have the key.
Hey, do you have the keys? And I'm like, I wasn't there, so no.
Yeah. Crap. Yep. So Bill got a little bit later start to head towards Massachusetts than he wanted. So we ended up in about the same place at the same time. So we stopped and had lunch. At that point, I dug through everything. I tore my truck apart. I tore the trailer apart. I tried getting into the car, and I there was no key to be found. So I lost the key to the car.
Nicely done, sir.
Yeah.
So
especially since we had done all that extra work to make sure you had your windows, and no, there was no problem there, because if we had taken the windows out, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But the car has to live outside on the trailer, so I have to keep the windows, which is cool. We kept the fully automatic, power windows. Everything is still functioning as it should. But yeah, I lost the key. to the car. Vicky, I called Vicky later on, and she went over to the hangar and walked around everywhere looking for the key, dug the hangar apart. Nope,
Yep.
nope, to no
Mm-mm.
avail.
Mm-mm.
So Jeremy, how do you fit in the cage, and how is getting in and out of the car?
Oh my God, it's so much easier than so my other car is a sedan. It's a BMW 3 Series sedan, and this cage, the coupes are so much more room. We're not even gonna have to put a quick release steering wheel in there because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even get in the way. It's not even a factor getting in
How,
the car.
how's your helmet?
Oh, it's plenty
Plenty
of
of
room.
room. Okay.
Plenty of room. Yep, plenty of room for everything.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
what I was curious about.
Yeah, no, plenty of room for everything.
Yeah. Sometimes Chris makes such a good cage and so tight to the body, you actually have to raise the seat up in order to be able to see because there's so much room above your head that you can.
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah,
of cool.
no, this I have the plates, and those of you that know BMWs, a lot of companies make plates that bolt into the factory seat bolts, and then you bolt your seat or your slider and then your seat to these brackets, and they typically add about 3/4 of an inch of height, and they don't even come into a factor.
Excellent. So
Yep,
we had some pizza to end the weekend.
yep,
Job well done.
pizza to end the weekend.
Awesome, awesome.
Yep.
So Miss Vicky, what did you learn this weekend?
What I learned this
You've been quiet.
weekend. Um, this
This was your first
particular
big
weekend,
cage weekend.
yeah, this particular weekend didn't seem to go as quickly as the last cage party that we had. So there was, a lot of idle time for us. So we had like, all hands on deck. Um, but I just remember that the Honda went so much more quickly.
Everything was
But
bent.
oh, that's right, it was. So we only added the supports. That's right.
We only bent the
Yeah.
door bars.
Yeah,
And
that was our first cage that installed. That's right. I do remember that now. But Chris's went pretty quick too. But I
yeah.
think it's also because Chris is very used to putting cages in, so he kind of probably knows the angles
Hmm.
better instead of just trying to fit a car that he really hasn't done it, not as familiar with. So that's probably why. But this time it just had a lot more idle time. Um, it felt like a lot of waiting in between. But once it started rolling, then everything picked up.
Well, that's why we usually have two projects going.
Yeah, yeah. We were working on the BMW that we got just to see if we can get it to start, and that didn't go so well.
It did. Everything started.
It
Yeah, no, it actually went really well.
Yeah.
Um,
But we
but
had
that
stuff
was
that seized, so it broke a pulley.
yeah,
But
yep,
that's fine. So yeah, learning how to use another one of those scanner tools, learning how to use a scanner tool. That was what I was learning more so this weekend. Uh, because I was already kind of familiar with the cage building.
yeah,
Did a lot of searching for that freaking angle.
yes, yes.
We must have gone over there 4 times. So, like, I know I saw it right next to the tool cabinet over in the other hangar.
Yep. It'll be
So
there. Now that we don't need it, we'll find it.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it
you'll
was.
walk in there and it'll be right there in front of you.
Right on top.
Mhm.
Yep.
Piece of
Yep.
cake.
Yeah, but it was good.
No, that was good. The BMW that you guys bought was um little crusty underneath, but it had been sitting for a long time, but body panels and everything else was absolutely perfect shape. And Vicky got so what I had noticed before they were going to try to start the car was that the fan shroud was not attached at the base of the
What a
radiator.
pain in the rear end that is.
It is. It is. That's why I got rid of it. I bought a Spall fan and put it on, and it gets rid of all that whole thing. So that was a pain in the butt. Vicky got that put it back in correctly because what it was doing, it was laying on all of the pulleys and the belts. So that was a process getting that thing back in. And Bill, Didn't you start the car and it ran?
It did. No problem. Piece of cake. And then it
Well,
threw
it
then it
didn't run
threw
at first. It just wanted
yeah.
to turn over, but there was what? There was no what in the car?
No, I believe the English call it petrol.
Petrol. Yes. There
Yeah.
was no petrol in the car.
No petrol. Everything else was fine.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we got a little bit, like 5 gallons worth, and started right up. And then Jeremy's like, turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Yep.
Ka-chow.
Kachow is right. I believe that either the alternator is seized or the water pump is seized because the belt tore the water pump pulley and fan shroud pulley completely apart, broke it into
Mhm.
several pieces.
The internet sleuths say that it is the alternator.
Hmm.
That's where my first inclination went to as well. So we'll see. One of the two of them is
Or
seized,
both.
but
You never know.
or both. Yeah, because it sat for a long time. We did find that out.
Indeed.
But the good news was that the motor, while running, sounded awesome. There was no noise from the motor. It ran super smooth, super quiet. So that's the good part.
Yep.
Mhm.
And that's the part we needed.
Yep.
Because we've got to replace the engine from the other car that blew up. But that's okay. It's fine. It's been a year.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know what happened that we didn't cover, though?
What's that?
Jeremy
I don't know.
Santa Claus Hall,
Mhm.
the first person since the Mike Tyson Spinks fight that I played chess with live. That was the first game I played against a normal human being in person. Was
That's
Friday.
awesome. Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
Friday
we
night.
Yeah,
played
so
chess on
so
Friday.
Bill's on a chess quest.
That's right.
So it's filling. Bill has a very all right. So Bill has a very busy brain.
I'm right
Does not
here.
do idle well. So he needs to be challenged. His brain needs to be challenged all the time. So now he has taken on chess.
Right now, chess is taking me on because it's kicking my
Hmm.
butt.
It's so much fun though. And I forgot how much fun it was. I hadn't played in a very long time.
Mhm.
And I would God, I would venture to say probably close to 20 years I hadn't played chess. And so there was a lot that I had to freshen up on, and Bill was giving me refresher courses. And I mean, Bill definitely kicked my butt.
Okay.
But it was
Your
fun.
first game.
It was fun. We played chess and it was fun. And
Mhm.
the entire weekend we tried to make time to play another game, but we just never could get that time to play another game.
Well, you were too enthralled with F1 and s'mores.
F1 and s'mores. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which is
Yeah, I
fine.
can't when F1's on, I can't do anything else other than F1.
I don't know. Miss Vicky was pulled into F1 again slightly,
Yeah.
and she's like, I think her two questions were, are these guys all like 15 years old?
Hmm.
And
Well, they're not, no, but they all just seem, they're all so very young.
I think your second question was, are they all assholes? Because
Yeah.
we were complaining about several of the drivers because we had
Yeah.
rather strong feelings about certain drivers.
Hmm.
There was
Yeah.
a couple. There was a
I mean,
couple
there
that
were
escaped.
four of us there watching, like, and that have very strong feelings one way or the other for a majority of the drivers on the grid.
Yes.
So
Yep.
Yes. There was a few, and then Jeremy has strong feelings about drivers, and I'm like, how do you even know this already? Because they haven't done anything. They're kind of like, they're not wallpaper, but they're not much more than that at this point in their
Hmm.
career. But he's got data, so it was fun. We
yeah.
had a good time.
Yeah,
And
it was awesome. Bill and I figured out that we share a mutual um disliking for one of the same drivers.
yes, yeah, there's one. I think disdain is too short, too soft.
Hmm.
He's not my favorite. So anyway,
Mhm.
so that led to some rather tasty uh, text messages of proposed gifts for me for Christmas,
Ah.
which I spoke about and said, no, that's not happening. Not happening. The only way that's happening is if that goes and becomes a dartboard. But that's a different story, different podcast. That's in the OnlyFans version. So
Yes.
Um, did we miss anything?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. Well,
I got one question to wrap it up if we didn't.
What's that?
I don't feel like we really missed a whole lot. I mean, we can't obviously go step by step for 2 days worth of work, but
I mean, we could,
um,
but we're not
I
going
don't think we really missed much of the
to.
big stuff.
All right. So here it is. Jeremy gets a two-part question because it was his first cage. Was it, how was it different than what you thought it was going to be coming into the weekend? Like what was harder? What was easier? What was like, oh, I never thought about.
Um, the different the different part was, I mean, I knew cage building was difficult, and I just didn't realize how time consuming the bending was.
Hmm.
It is incredibly time consuming, and let's just say that if you take on a cage, um, your measurements need to be perfect. And 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch compounds in an angle and makes things way off.
Hmm. I think the MVP for cage bending is those digital angles.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you couldn't
huge.
couldn't do it without it, especially when you start having to kick angles and things.
Yep.
So was it harder, easier, different?
I think it was I don't think it was harder than I figured it was going to be. It was different.
Hmm.
There were things that I hadn't even thought about, that I learned. I mean, Chris has done so many of them that he just explains it in a way that you understand. And someone, you know, like me, I work with measurements all day long. I do building, so a lot of the things that he was saying was, okay, well, that I can do that. That's, something I do every day. It's just different material than what I'm normally used to working with.
Hmm.
So it was an interesting process. It really
Okay.
was.
Whew.
So I will not allow you to say 100% because I don't think that would be factually accurate. How, on a percentage basis, how close are you to being able to do a cage by yourself? Like not physically by yourself, but without Chris and Chrissy. Like you and this fictional person that you keep talking about.
I feel pretty confident that I I feel pretty confident that we could build a cage. I'd say 90%. I'd probably call you and Chris maybe a couple times to
That,
ask
that is
some
100% a
questions.
lie. You would not call me.
I would, because you and you were teaching me how to do the main hoop before Chris had got there. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd probably have to make a couple calls just to ask questions about, hey, should I do this, or does this need to be here? But if I had a rule guide of what we needed to do, like if I was to build another BMW, I feel pretty
Mhm.
confident that we could do that cage, just because I've already done it and I have two of them that are caged, so I could look at them. But if it was a car that I was unfamiliar with, I probably would say about 90%. That if it was a platform that I hadn't worked with before or helped with a cage in, obviously, because I've only done one. I feel pretty confident after learning what I learned this past weekend.
Yeah, the big thing that Chris is really good at, right? I mean, besides welding, um, is his understanding of cage design and cage design rules
Yes.
for oh, if that's this way, then we need to do this. Or, he's working through the number of cars because he hasn't done like, let's just say it's 20. It's in the teens. 20 cages. He hasn't done 20 Hondas or 20 Honda Civics. He's done all kinds of cars. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
he's run into the weird like details that you have to work through and figure them out and the work around it. And that's really important. Like the first
Yeah.
cage you do in a car is going to take a lot of time. But if you were to do that cage 10 times, same car, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, very nice. Miss Vicky, are you even close to being able to cage a car?
Ah, I don't know.
Minus the welding.
Yeah. it's a big job. It's a big job. I know how to do it, but it's a big job.
Indeed. But
Well,
it's
Yeah.
fun.
but you know what? No, I don't know what I'm doing. I understand the concepts of it.
Yeah. You have to take some more
Yeah.
initiative next time and start
I mean,
elbowing Chrissy and
Chris is,
Jeremy out of the way.
it just seems exhausting.
It's tedious and it's very,
It's
very time
tedious.
consuming.
It's, you know,
And if you get it wrong,
it looks like a very tedious job. It's fascinating to watch it being done. It really is. And of course that, the one thing that I did learn is that, the metal that is on the floor of the car is different than the metal in some other parts of the car, so it doesn't weld as properly. If unless you have to do something a little differently to get it to weld proper. Um,
sometimes it's a different metal and sometimes it's just different thickness.
well, no, it's not different. It's thinner. So you have to be really careful that when you're welding on it, on the, say, for instance, the floor itself,
Mm-hmm.
or lighter pieces or thinner areas of wood that you just, I mean, metal that because it's thinner, you can burn through it really easy. So you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Some would say the thickness is different, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got
Gotta
that.
be
I've got that
careful.
tone of voice that she's deaf to,
Yep.
but it's fine. All right. So cage accomplished. Jeremy, you got a little bit of work to do. Kind of where I was guessing we'd end up.
Yeah. Yep.
Sunday we got a ton done, so that was nice.
A
And,
whole bunch.
and special thank you to Chris and Chrissy because I think they stayed past their self-imposed curfew just to get us to where we were. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Chris
love
wanted to
the
make sure that some of it was done, like certain parts of it was done.
yeah,
Yep. Huge help.
absolutely,
Unbelievable.
absolutely. Unlike the person you keep talking about that's fictional, but that's fine.
Yes. That fictional person.
Yes.
Yeah. Huge, huge thank you to Chris and Chrissy for all of their help and time spent doing this weekend. And huge thank you to both of you for the hospitality and the time and the effort and the help and all of it for making sure this happens.
All right. So most important question of the podcast: when is the next time you are going to have beef?
I did tonight. I had a hamburger tonight.
Very good. And I'll have to do better next Friendsgiving.
I
Mhm.
will say though, I felt like I was there. There were going to be some meat sweats this weekend.
Well, Saturday night, I think it was like 22 pounds of beef.
We didn't finish all that, but there
I
was a lot.
tried.
Bill tried.
It was these people who were taking half pieces. What's up with that?
It was awesome. It was fantastic. Everything about the weekend was awesome. It really was.
That's right.
Not just the cage building, but like the friends and spending time with the friends and all of the things. It was just a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, I'd say the only downside
Mhm.
was when you jumped on the scale on Monday morning. That was kind of like, oh, that's a number I didn't want to see.
No, I haven't got back on the scale yet.
It's like, I'm losing weight. It's going to be going down. I'm like, going, I'm not going to help you at all this weekend.
Mhm.
Oh, yep.
So, job well done by everybody. Thank you, Chris and Chrissy. Awesome job.
Yes.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Scott, for coming up. That was great.
Yeah, yeah. Big thank you to Scott too for coming up on Saturday and helping out and learning and understanding. And yeah, it was awesome to hang out with him.
Yeah. And Miss Jen, my cooking accomplice. So she was there in and out. She wasn't feeling terribly well this weekend,
Mhm.
so she was quiet, but that's okay. It's
Yeah,
done.
she brought us food and breakfast and all of the things. So that was a huge help too, that we didn't have to leave the hangar.
Yeah. And she prepared most of the first generation vegetarian foods
Yep.
on Saturday night. So
Mhm.
I'm more a second gen guy, but that's okay.
Those potatoes though were amazing.
Mhm.
Yep. That was what kept us waiting. They just wouldn't get done.
Mhm.
It,
Yeah.
it was supposed to, according to the recipe, it was 15 minutes. I think it was 48 minutes.
Yeah, it was a little bit longer than 15.
Little longer than 15.
Yeah.
And I had it on convection too, so it should have been faster, but whatevs.
Yeah,
Anyway,
whatever.
thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for coming down. I hope you had a good time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did. It was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, and I can't wait for us to all partake in next year's race season.
And go vroom vroom.
Yep. We're gonna have some
Excellent.
fun.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.